Alright guys, and we're back to more Fate's Day. The identity of Ryder is Noble Phantasm. Could that be what scorched the rooftop and forced Saber to her knees? I see that Ryder is, as her class name suggests, riding a horse, tearing across the sky. I shift my focus from Ryder. I thought I heard something. I can't tell how strong Ryder is while she's on Pegasus. All I can tell is that White Fiend has more magical energy in it than a few hundred mages could muster. No wonder the roof is a charred mess. That monster can destroy damn near anything around it just by running across it. If that thing charges from up in the sky, even Saber won't be able to avoid it. It's a race against time. I need to defeat Shinji. If I defeat the Master, Ryder will disappear. I hear laughter. Shinji must be hiding somewhere. Only his voice echoes. I fight down my impatience and try to focus on the sound of his laughter. Damn, the wind's so strong. I can't tell where the laughter's coming from. Don't rush. Let him talk. Let him talk all he wants. The more he talks, the better chance I have of finding him.
お前もあのサーバントもここで終わりだ。何？これでも知らない仲じゃない。昨日の借りもあるしさ。せめて苦しまないように一瞬で死んじゃえよ。
This is bad. Pegasus, still high up in the sky, tips its head towards Saber. The vortex of magical energy whirls faster, as if it knows no limit. If that thing comes at us at full speed, it'll blow the entire roof apart.
なに安心しろエミヤ。お前に邪魔されたけどさ、学校のバカどももすぐに後を追わせてやるよ。お前が寂しいってんなら、クソ鬱陶しいさくらも付き合わせてやろうじゃないか。
This guy's an absolute ass. He's willing to sacrifice Sakura too?
シンジ、お前。やれないだ。まずはその女だ。跡形も残すなよ。セイバー。
A white comet streaks towards us, and at that moment, a storm rages around me. For the first time, she forgets her enemy in battle. She's furious with her master for walking into the death trap, but she's also angry with herself for failing to anticipate him doing so. All those thoughts are cast aside now. What else can she do? Even now, even in the midst of danger, she can only see concern for her well-being in his eyes.
Shiro.
He's always been like this, actually. He may have understood that she was an exceptional knight, but that's never how he saw her.
どうやら余興はここまでのようね、セイバー。
Ryder's giggling voice reaches her even now. Ryder touches Pegasus' neck with both her hands, and the beast's wings beat harder.
私の宝具は強力ゆえ、地上で使うには適していない。使えばどうしても人目につく。まだ他にマスターがいる以上、おいそれと使うわけにはいかなかった。けれど、ここなら覗き見される恐れはない。あなたを誘い出したのは、ここでなら都合がいいからと分かりましたか。
Something begins to form in Ryder's hands. It seems insignificant, really, a glittering golden rope.
それが貴様の宝具か、ライダー。ええ、私の趣味ではありません。この子は優しすぎて戦いには向いていない。だからこんなものでも使わないとその気になってくれないの。
Pegasus lowers its head. This feral nature is not inborn within the creature itself, but coaxed from it by Ryder's touch.
消えなさいセイバー。たとえあなたが生き延びようと、あなたのマスターは私からは逃げられない。マスターさえ死ねば頑丈なあなたもそれまででしょう。
It is the inarguable truth. Ryder's noble phantasm will utterly destroy the roof. If she hurried, she might be able to carry Shiro away and escape, but Ryder won't stop at just destroying the rooftop. Her master is not strong enough to survive a collapsing building. Meaning, to protect her master, she'll have to destroy her enemy, Pegasus and all. She doesn't have time to think about whether this is the right thing to do. Saber glances one final time at her master, still some distance from her. He's doing his best to fill his role simply by gritting his teeth and keeping back.
風よ。
The last of her hesitation fades. What is ahead no longer matters. All that matters is in this moment, and in it, she must be our master's blade and defeat the enemy they now face.
やれライダー、まずはその女だ。跡形も残すなよ。
I hear the jarring, grating shout. In that moment, Pegasus ascends higher and vanishes from sight. Pegasus flies up into the air. It's already lost its form. It rises up as if to shoot through the moon, and then continues its arc by flapping its wings, powering itself down toward the ground. Like a beaming missile, the blazing white comet streaks downward. It becomes an arrow of searing white light, but Ryder continues urging it on. There's only one target. It intends to annihilate its enemy entirely, and the isolated guardian in the sky along with it.
ベルレ。
She speaks his name. If a noble phantasm is the miracle that is released by speaking its true name,
フォー
it is divine lightning. A thunderous flash. There's no emotion in her eyes as she looks on.
この場所ならば人目につかないと言ったな、ライダー。
The wind unfurls from her blade and becomes a storm.
同感だ。ここならば地上を焼き払う憂いもない。
The seal is broken. Layers of wind unfold from her blade. Her sword is finally visible. Oh, let's go! A storm rages before my eyes. The white light descends upon the rooftop. Saber, though she is the sole focus of that light, doesn't move.
Saber!
The raging wind. She's the source. No, not Saber herself. Her sword. Ah, that epic soundtrack. I can't believe what I'm seeing. The blade should be invisible, but there it is. Like unwrapping bandages, the wind slowly coils away from her blade. The wind rages on. The multiple layers of seals peel away. The bands of wind dissolve into the air. She readies her now visible sword and turns back towards Pegasus as it dives towards her. Ryder approaches as a brilliant flare of light. Bellerophon is now large enough to engulf the entire rooftop and is only picking up speed to destroy us, building and all. The bridle of chivalry lights up on the rooftop. Time stops. In the face of inescapable destruction, my mind goes blank. But the light is not coming from the bridle of chivalry. The light churns and builds upon itself. The light of Ryder's mount is brilliant, but it can't hold a candle to the purity I see in this one. Saber is holding the ultimate sacred sword that has collected the lights of the stars.
X!
Hell yeah! Let me tell you right now, guys, when I first read this scene, when I first started this visual novel, I was blown away. This was nuts for me back then. I loved it. A single line of brilliant light. It's a blade of light shearing through everything it touches. The beam of light destroys Ryder utterly as it cleaves through the clouds and disappears into the night sky. Most likely, if that sword had been used on the ground, it would have carved a trail of devastation to the city. Her sword is not unseeable. It simply does not reveal itself. It is the golden sword that captivates all who behold it, with a true name of surpassing fame. Excalibur, the sword of promised victory. A sword that is said to have existed in England. A sword wielded by the king who has become the very symbol of knighthood. The strongest of the servants, noble phantasm, sealed by several bounded fields. That is Saber's proof of her place as a hero. Silence falls over the rooftop. The wind has died down, and not so much as a breeze whispers across the rooftop. I stand dazed in place. I can't approach Saber. I'm still too confused to act, or maybe I'm just captivated by her sword. My mind is racing, and I can't seem to think of much that makes sense. Why does she have that sword? That golden sword belongs to a famous knightly king. Everyone knows who. As I try to figure out how she came to have something like that, I realize my mind is doing everything it can to deny the simplest of the possible answers. I don't need to be making all these assumptions. That sword has always been hers. And that's why her true name is so easy to figure out. The owner of that sacred sword can only have one name. Saber remains motionless where she stands. I should approach her, but my body won't listen. I've been told so many times that Saber is a heroic spirit. But now that I've seen for myself that she is indeed a great hero of the past, I hesitate to even get closer to her. I hear a shriek. Something is burning in the shadows. I turn to look. I see a burning book slowly dissolving into a pile of ash and... Ah, there you are, you little coward. I see Shinji cringing as he watches the book burn.
Shinji!
He must have realized how much trouble he's in now that Ryder has been defeated. Shinji turns and sprints towards the exit from the rooftop. Hey! He leaps through the door to the stairway.
Mate, Shinji!
I can't let him get away again. The moment I turn to pursue Shinji, just out of the corner of my eye, I see Saber collapse. My mind stops. Shinji's fleeing and Saber's fallen to the ground. I should... Oh, really? Really? Follow Shinji or rush up to save? It's no contest, man. It's no... You know what? Let me save anyway. Because I might want the... You know... I just want the extra... Okay, we're good there. No contest. We'll rush up to Saber. I can't leave Saber alone. Ryder's gone, and the book that acted as Shinji's command spells burnt to ash. Shinji doesn't have a servant anymore, and he's lost his command spells. The contest is good as over. Saber's my priority now.
Saber!
I rush to her. She's not holding the golden sword anymore. It's disappeared, and now there's just Saber lying on the ground. Saber's in bad shape. Beads of sweat trickle down her brow, and her breath is shallow, labored. She looks like she's got a fever.
そんな。おい、セイバー。何が、どうしたって言うんだ。
She's weakened, dude. I call out to Saber nervously, but she doesn't respond. She's out cold.
セイバー。
I touch her forehead. I jerk my hand away. It's unnaturally hot. She's got to be running a fever of over 40 degrees.
セイバー。おい、しっかりしろ。
I call out to her, but her only response is shallow, anguished breathing. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know what to do, but I can't just stand around.
うちに連れて行くからな。文句があるなら後にしてくれ。
I lift Saber up. She's so light. I knew that, of course, but now she seems even lighter. No, more than that, she's...
熱い。ちゃんと生きてる。
Saber's still the person I've known all this time. I'm pissed with myself for even hesitating. Damn, what's it matter if she's a hero? No matter who Saber is, she's here, and she's still warm. How much of an idiot was I for putting up this wall between us
す
before?
ぐに帰るからな。それまでおとなしくしてろよ、セイバー。
I start running, Saber in my arms. There's no sense of triumph from this victory. All I feel is Saber in my arms, barely breathing. But we won.
終わったわよ。
Alright, I want to do a quick check on the new servant data we got. It was probably on Saber. I don't know if it's her story. I don't know if her status changed. I'll have to go back and check in my OBS to see if her thing here improved. But hero info, nothing yet. Skill, however, or noble phantasm, maybe. Barrier of the Wind King, the unseen sword, and here it is. Excalibur. Yakusoku Sareta Shori no Ken, the Sword of Light. Rank A++, type Anti-Fortress, range 1 to 99. Max targets 1,000 per... Damn. It's not a man-made weapon, but a divine construct forged by the stars. Within the category of holy swords, it is the greatest noble phantasm. It is a holy sword that converts the user's magical energy into light, increases momentum by the convergence and acceleration, and it makes it possible to use magical energy at the level of a divine spirit. To an outsider, it looks like a large belt of light, but it actually only has a hitbox at the tip of the light. It is the ultimate slashing attack that cuts through everything along the faults that are formed by the light. That massive magical energy gives heat to everything other than the tip as well, and as a result, it all gets taken by a wave of light that miles down everything above the ground. It could even be called a directional energy weapon, which exactly is what it was, to go after Ryder. Okay, I like that.
和室に寝かせてきたけど、あの分じゃしばらく目を覚まさないでしょうね。
そうか。遠坂がいてくれて助かった。俺じゃセイバーの手当てなんてできないからな。
まあ、鎧を脱がせて楽にさせただけだから、お礼を言われるほどじゃないわ。セイバーの体も良くならないし、私は何もしてないもの。
But still, I'm glad Tosaka was here. The moment I arrived home carrying Saber, Tosaka understood what was going on. It's been an hour. She tried telling Saber what she was going to do, then took her armor off.
それで何があったの？
We beat Ryder.
シンジを探しに行って帰ってきたと思ったらセイバーがあれでしょ。一波乱あったのはわかるけど説明してくれないかしら。
I don't know how to explain. Saber's noble phantasm. I shouldn't disclose her true name. I can't decide on my own to reveal that.
ライダーを倒した。シンジはレイジを失ってリタイアしたよ。ただその時にセイバーが宝具を使ってその後に倒れたんだ。
セイバーの宝具ね。まあ追求するのは勘弁してあげるわ。今のあなたたちはそれどころじゃないものね。
それどころじゃないってどういうことだ？
言葉通りの意味よ。あなただってうすうすは気づいているんでしょ。このままじゃセイバーが消えるってことぐらい。
She says it so calmly. Tosaka just casually brings up the one thing I've been trying so hard to avoid.
消えるって、セイバーが消えるっていうのか、お前は。
当然でしょ。セイバーの魔力はほとんど空っぽなのよ。セイバーの宝具がどんなものだったかは知らないけど、よっぽど魔力を使うものだったんでしょうね。セイバーは自分の中の魔力をほぼ消費してしまった。今彼女が苦しんでいるのはね、消えようとしている自分を必死に留めているからよ。
魔力がないから消える？セイバーは傷を負ってもいないのに消えるっていうのか？
ええ、サーバントにとっては外的ダメージより魔力切れの方が深刻な問題よ。霊体であるサーバントに肉体を与えているのは魔力だもの。それがなくなれば消えるしかない。
もっともそんなことにならないようにマスターはサーバントに魔力を送るんだけど、あなたはそれができないでしょ。だからセイバーは自分の魔力だけで戦うしかない。切れたらそれまでよ。こんなこと一番初めに説明したでしょ。
That is definitely what Saber
け
said.
ど今までは大丈夫だったじゃないか。セイバーだって眠っていれば持ち直すって。
それはセイバーの魔力量が桁外れだったからよ。そうね、確かにセイバーの魔力はまだ残ってる。彼女ならまだ消えずに肉体を保つぐらいの魔力は回復できるとは思うけど、結局はそこ止まりよ。セイバーはずっと今の状態で戦うことになる。宝具を使うなんてもってのほか。次に宝具を使えばセイバーは間違いなく消え去るでしょうね。
次に宝具を使えば消える。
Well, I wouldn't want Saber fighting like this at all. I don't ever want to see Saber on her knees in that kind of pain again.
理解できた？結局セイバーを以前の状態に戻す方法は2つだけよ。マスターがサーバントに魔力を提供するか、サーバントが自分で魔力を補充するか。
The servant collecting it themselves. That would mean killing innocent people like Ryder.
まさかセイバーはそんなことはしない。セイバー自身がそんなことはしないと言ったんだ。
でしょうね。一般人を犠牲にするぐらいならセイバーは潔く消えるでしょう。なら方法は一つだけよ。セイバーを消したくないのならあなたが魔力を提供するしかないわ。
それはできるならとっくにそうしてるさ。けど俺は魔力を提供する方法なんて知らない。あいにく遠坂みたいに何でもできるってわけじゃないんだ。
まあね、共有の魔術を教えてあげても間に合わない。シローは魔術師に向いてないから覚えるのに1年ぐらいかかるだろうし、覚えたところで使えないわ。まあ召喚時にセイバーとパスは通っているはずだから、まだ他に方法があるかもしれないけど。いい？セイバーを助けたいのなら彼女自身に人を吸わせて魂を食べさせるしかない。
No.
それはあなたにも分かってると思うけど。
I kind of disagree with that method. That's the most realistic. But it's...
もちろんセイバーは嫌がるでしょ。
Yes, she would.
けど放っておけば遅かれ早かれセイバーは消えて、あなたは他のマスターから狙われることになる。
Saber's gonna disappear? I can't even consider that. I still remember the warmth of her body when I was carrying her.
なら答えは一つよ。レイジを使いなさい、エミ役。それで最悪の事態は避けられる。
What she's trying to say is, I need to order Saber to kill innocent people. I can't say anything. I resent what Tosaka is saying, but there's a part of me that has to admit it could be one of our options.
決断はあなたに任せるわ。セイバーは眠らせておけば落ち着くだろうけど、それでも限界は近いでしょうね。
Tosaka leaves the living room. I can't even lift my head. All I can do is listen to the sound of her footsteps receding down the hall. Oh, a new night. That was nuts. Dragon slaying. Artoria. That's the name she was given when she celebrated her coming of age. It was wartime. It began with the collapse of an empire. An empire that had been meant to be eternal was slowly waiting to die amid invasions from all sides. In preparation for many wars, the empire deprived an island nation of its military. That is how it began. Having lost the empire's protection, her nation had no choice but to become independent, and over time, it broke up into smaller nations. The invasions came again and again. Internal conflicts between clans spiraled out of control. Then came a long period of war, which would later come to be known as the Dark Ages. It is during this difficult time that she was born heir to the throne. A long, tumultuous period of war. The king believed in the mage's prophecy and so eagerly awaited the birth of his worthy successor. But the child born to him was not the child he desired. His child wasn't male. Fated king or not, the child could not assume the throne unless they were a boy. So the girl was entrusted to the king's retainer and was raised as a knight. The king was saddened, but the mage delighted. One's sex has nothing to do with one's worthiness to become a king. More than that, the mage was convinced that the girl's absence from the castle until the day of the prophecy was proof she was the true king. So she grew up under the care of a simple and wise old knight as his adopted child and successor. The old knight did not believe in the mage's prophecy. He simply raised her to be a knight and hoped for her to continue growing, because he felt something from her that reminded him very much of his own lord. But even without the knight's encouragement or intervention, the girl trained every day to become stronger than anyone else. If an alien country headed towards its own demise can only be saved by a king, the girl had sworn to wield her sword for that reason, and that reason alone, without anyone ever needing to tell her to do so. And then the prophecy day arrived. Knights and lords from around the nation gathered in hopes of being chosen to be king. If this was to be a contest to determine the best possible king, all assumed the selection would be made in a mounted joust. Instead, all that waited at the site of selection was a naked blade thrust into a stone. On the hilt of the sword, a glittering golden inscription read, "Whatsoever pulleth the sword from this stone is the rightful king of England." Many knights took their turn trying to draw the sword from the stone, but none were able to draw the sword from the stone, so the knights decided to compete in the joust, as they had originally expected on arriving. The girl was not yet a knight, and so could not participate in the joust. She approached the stone of selection, which sat largely abandoned, its appeal having long since faded, and reached for the sword's hilt. She did not hesitate.
いやいや、それを手に取る前にきちんと考えた方がいい。
She turned around, and before her stood the most feared mage in the nation. He gave his warning. Once she takes hold of that sword, she will cease to be human. She responded only with a nod. To be king is to no longer be human. She has been resolved to this from the moment she was born. To be king is to kill more than anyone in protection of everyone. The young girl thought of this every night and lay in bed, shivering at the implications until morning. Not a day went by that she was not afraid. But in that moment, she pledged that her days of fear were at an end. She drew the sword effortlessly from the stone, and bright light engulfed the whole of the site of selection. And in that instant, she ceased to be human. A king's sex does not matter. So long as they carry out the function of a king, none would care about a king's appearance, or even bother to pay attention to such a thing. And even if someone noticed the king was a woman, it would not matter, so long as she was a good king. The sword's magical energy must have halted her growth. While many knights found it eerie and feared her, most saw their lord's immortality as a divine gift. And so, the legendary celebrated age of the king began. The new king in battle was seen as something of a god of war. The king always led from the front. No enemies could stand in her way. Artoria, the god of battle. Hailed as a dragon incarnate, she knew no defeat. In 10 years, she fought 12 battles and never once lost. In those days, her chief duty as king was on the battlefield. Not once did she turn back. Not once was she disgraced. She was raised to kingship and fulfilled her obligations without hesitation.